You're watching CoinDesk. This next interview is one of the highlights from Consensus 2025.
Big news hit in March when American Bitcoin came out of the woodwork and was folded under the Hut 8 brand. And I think it was a news item that caught a lot of people by surprise. It was one of the bigger ones to come out of Q1. People were not expecting such a partnership. So to kick off our discussion here today for this meet and greet for American Bitcoin, what led to this partnership?
I think at Hut 8, we spend a considerable amount of time thinking about what is our business long term and how do we create the most value for our shareholders. And Eric and us got connected and introduced, and we started talking about just philosophically how do we think about the world. He's a hard asset guy who's been building some of the most valuable real estate projects around the world, and we started talking about data centers. And I remember he was like, I understand that world. I understand HVAC. I understand electrical. He's like, I grew up on facilities while building. And so we really bonded around that. And then when it transitioned over to Bitcoin and crypto, I was like, tell me why. Why are you so passionate about this place? Why are you so involved? And it really had to do with their journey and their belief in people controlling their own financial freedom and people being able to wire. And so I think that was the big kind of connection point of this is someone I really, really respect. This is someone that we could build something incredible together. And we saw an opportunity to have Hut 8 be the business that is building a energy infrastructure platform, enabling future technologies that push humanity forward. And we can take the business, the Bitcoin business, and form American Bitcoin to create one of the best Bitcoin accumulation vehicles that is not only able to go and buy, but we can actually mine at a discount that people can buy for and accumulate. And so incredibly, incredibly grateful and happy to be in this partnership together and be building this business together.
Awesome. Well, first of all, how are you, Canada? It's great to be up here. We love you guys very much. No, honestly, had we not gone through the hell of U.S. politics, I probably would have never been in this world, right? I didn't understand the crypto world, and my entire life has been building the tallest skyscrapers in the world, the best golf courses, residential buildings, commercial buildings, office buildings. And it wasn't until the very same group that was attacking my family for no reason whatsoever other than political beliefs started attacking a crypto community that it really drove kind of two people who might not have always been like-minded together, and that partnership has been absolutely amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. We have come to love the crypto community, and I think the crypto community has really come to love us, and we're so proud to be a big part of it. But American Bitcoin to me is everything. And when we came up with the name, I said one thing. I said, listen, it has to have the word American in it. It has to have the word Bitcoin in it, and hence a pretty simple permutation off of that, American Bitcoin. And I think the ticker symbol we hope to use is ABTC, which is has a nice little ring to it. You guys are probably seeing it around the halls of this place. But I met Asher, and they are so phenomenal at Hut 8 at the data center game, and that's exactly right. I kind of understood it. I understand land, and I understand concrete slabs. I understand buildings. I understand energy. I understand cooling. At the same time, I really believe in digital gold, which is Bitcoin, right? I believe in the store of value. And I also realized kind of through some of that political weaponization, some of the limitations of real estate. Real estate has created tremendous wealth for our family. At the same time, real estate can't be transferred. It's very hard to sell, especially in kind of, the domain I play in, right? I sold a hotel a couple years ago. It took me a year and a half to literally transact that hotel because you have title reports and you have managers that have to go in, and you have escrow agents, and you have all sorts of things. You've got lenders, you've got complicated documents. And I'm sitting there saying, here's an asset, it can't be moved, it's very hard to transfer, there's very few people in the world that can go and buy a hotel that's $500 million or a commercial building, meaning your pool of people who actually can acquire an asset at any one time is very limited. You constantly have to manage it. You constantly have to watch operations, right? And then all of a sudden you've got this kind of digital asset, which you don't need to watch, you don't need to manage. It's easy to transact on. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's global. It's instantaneous. I can have a glass of wine with my wife on Saturday night, and I can be transferring, or trading a currency, right? That's modern day finance. That's an unbelievably pure store of value. And so I really fell in love with everything that Bitcoin has become. I really fell in love with so many of the people in this room and this industry. And I certainly fell in love with Hut 8 and Asher and Mike and Matt and the entire team. They're so good at what they do. And you're sitting there saying, hey, if I can mine an asset for literally a third the cost that it's trading right now, and we can do that in America using the lowest cost energy anywhere in the world, hey, we're onto something really good. And you're doing that with an asset that appreciates at 60% year over year, has been one of the greatest stores of value probably in the history of humanity. That's an awesome combination. And so I don't think I've ever been more excited about a project, and I'm honored to be together with these guys.
And a lot of things to be excited about. You mentioned the ABTC ticker. One of the bigger news items to come out of this week as well was the announced or proposed merger with Griffin Digital. So for my next question, what led to this decision to the merger with Griffin Digital specifically, and what benefits will accrue to Hut 8 and American Bitcoin by taking ABTC public?
One of the key areas of American Bitcoin's growth trajectory was to be a publicly traded entity that investors would have access to, and we'd have access to the capital markets to be able to scale and grow at a rapid pace. And we knew the largest shareholder, Anchorage Digital, if they're out there, shout out to you guys, and we've done a lot of work and business together, and we've created a great relationship, and we said, look, we're looking to take this business public. We want to take this business public through an existing mining business, and Griffin was a smaller mining business, and we said we'd like the fastest path to being able to do so, to be able to really get to the final goal of where we think we can grow and expand this company in the capital markets, and that's what has allowed Hut 8 to be so successful, and we wanted the ability for Hut 8 to focus its infrastructure, its capital, and its shareholders on energy and energy infrastructure, and then for American Bitcoin to be one of the purest Bitcoin proxies and businesses out there.
Anything to add, Eric?
No, I think those all very well said. I mean, I think maybe the only thing I'd add is actually the speed at which we've done this is incredible. The speed at which we came together, the speed at which obviously the reverse merger happened, and the speed at which we're going to get to market, I think is going to be pretty unparalleled for any public company. And I can tell you there's a team over here that works 24 hours a day. I wish I could see our chats back and forth that literally go back and forth all day, every day, Saturday, Sunday. I think the speed of execution of this company is going to be unlike anything that the capital markets has ever seen before. And I think that should give us a great advantage in an asset where it really is the race to kind of the top, right? And guys, I can tell you this just from kind of my other hat, my real estate hat. I go all over the world. Every single day I'm traveling, I'm on a plane. Everybody in the world is trying to hoard Bitcoin right now. Everybody. I hear it from sovereign wealth funds. I hear it from the wealthiest families. I hear it from the biggest companies. I mean, the adoption of it is incredible. I told this story, I was at MENA in Abu Dhabi, and I told this story right before I got there. A good buddy of mine runs one of the biggest banks in America. You can probably guess which one it is. They run a very, very large office for that bank in the wealthiest suburb of New York, right, in Greenwich, Connecticut. And he always said, a year ago, he was saying, hey, Bitcoin's funny money. Crypto's funny money. The other day, he goes, Eric, where do I buy this incredible kind of, cryptocurrency? Where do I buy Bitcoin? How do I get into this world? And so every single day, guys, I'm telling you, people who were kind of staunchly against it, people who didn't understand it, people who were closed-minded, people who were kind of rhinos to traditional finance are coming around in a massive way. And I think the kind of spike in Bitcoin is going to be significant. And therefore, it really is kind of a race to the top right now. There's a lot of people who are running very, very hard at this mission. And I promise you, we're going to beat them in that marathon.
Asher, this next one goes directly to you. You were talking about some of the benefits of having two companies in the public markets with regards to accessing capital. And Hut 8 has described this partnership as a way to execute kind of a two-pronged business strategy where y'all can focus on Hut 8 and energy and infrastructure, AI and HPC, while American Bitcoin really hunkers down to focus on the Bitcoin mining side of things. So can you speak to these synergies and the strategic choice to specialize either business segment?
The one area as we were thinking about the formation of American Bitcoin was what allows this business to be one of the best exposures and proxies to accumulating Bitcoin. And as a traditional miner, the issues that you face are you have to invest in lower returning assets. And what I mean by that, land, substation, steel for buildings. Those are assets you invest into, and you're not expecting a payback in 2 years to be able to return that investment. And it's okay because it's a lower risk asset that you're investing into. And then you're investing into ASICs and ASIC compute in Bitcoin, which has a lot more volatility, as we all know, but has completely outperformed the market if you look back at historically. And so for us, we said, how do we create a pure play entity that is able to utilize Hut 8's energy infrastructure platform? We have a large team. We're able to utilize that team and have low SG&A, low manpower, and really maximize Bitcoin exposure and maximize the dollars that we raise into ASIC and Bitcoin investments. And so that's kind of the beautiful synergy between the two companies. Obviously, Hut 8 is a large shareholder in American Bitcoin, and we care about the value of that company growing and increasing. And I think it's this beautiful harmony where now we've been able to kind of unlock two areas of our business where if you were to ask me last year, hey, why aren't you guys growing? Why aren't you going? Because I was like, every time we spend $1 in Bitcoin versus data centers, I have one person in my ear, the other person in my ear saying, why are you doing this? Now we can unlock that potential and really scale at a fast throughput. And I think, as Eric's mentioned, you've already seen that in a very short period of time since we've shared the news with the world.
Eric, this one goes to you. So you have a background in real estate and development, kind of the foundation of your family's business. And prior to American Bitcoin, it was originally established as American Data Centers, Inc. before the rebrand. So what led you to establish American Data Centers, Inc. and later rebrand it to focus on Bitcoin mining specifically?
Well, honestly, it was my introduction to Hut 8. And guys that really, truly had a 3-year jump on what we wanted to do, maybe more, right? This is a company that already had the data centers. They already had the energy contracts. Listen, the data center world is really going to take over, right? And you see it all over. Every single country sprinting toward it. I just came back from the Middle East. I was there all last week. I was in Abu Dhabi. I was in Qatar. I was in a bunch of countries. I was in Saudi. And every single one of them, they're all talking about data centers. They want to win the race. They want to win the data race. They want to win the robotics race. They want to win the energy, production race. Data centers makes so much sense, right? That's just the future. That's the future of technology. That's the future of how we operate our business. That's the future of, obviously, robotics. People are embracing it every single day. They're falling into kind of the AI game more and more. And so obviously I wanted to get into that game. It makes a lot of sense. At the same time, there's a long tail to getting into kind of hard data centers. No different than there's a very long tail trying to get into hotels, right? You want to build your first hotel and you want to build a true collection. That takes, years and years and years, if not, decades and decades. So there's something that we also believed in together, and we believe that's in digital gold, in Bitcoin, and we believe that we had the cheapest energy anywhere in the country. So much of it coming out of West Texas. We have a president in the United States that actually believes in having a proper energy policy in the United States of America, where he wants the cheapest energy anywhere in the world because that's going to fuel all the innovation that we're talking about right now. And it's, hey, how can you take kind of the data center company that you have right now, and how can you accrete real value with, again, as I mentioned before, an asset that's accreting 60% a year over year, and it's one of the fastest growing assets, one of the fastest and most in-demand assets in the world. And so it was really kind of putting two pet projects for me together. And the relationship's been amazing. The harmony in our thought process is incredible. The speed of execution, as I mentioned before, and the speed at which we're running toward this building and this business and really what we're creating is second to none. And I'm really glad I didn't have to start this thing from scratch. I'm really glad I found Asher and Mike, who are damn good at what they did and allowed us to kind of focus on something that I think will even be more creative than truly the data center world.
Yeah, a tricky business to just break into overnight, right? It's great to have guys like Asher at the helm. So, Eric, you mentioned West Texas. Obviously Hut 8 is building a massive site there, the Vega site. And with the American Bitcoin brand and also just building in America becoming a theme as we enter 2025 and go into 2026, why is Hut 8 and America Bitcoin focusing on the U.S. as its locus of growth?
Well, you're probably looking at them, right? I think we're pretty aligned with the United States of America in a lot of ways. And listen, guys, we have the greatest country on earth. We have a country that's determined to lead the modern kind of financial system, the modern digital revolution that we're seeing take place. And as a family and as a country, we're sprinting toward that goal. you also had a place, and I always joke, right, because I spent a lot of time in a lot of countries around the world. I mean, go try and mine Bitcoin in France. Go try and mine Bitcoin in Scotland. I have projects over there. You're just never going to do it. The energy price is too high. And so you have an administration that's focused on low energy prices. You've got a country that's got some of the greatest energy reserves anywhere in the world. And then you have Texas, right, which is maybe a great combination of both those things, right? Some of the best energy policies, some of the most pro-energy policies, some of the greatest natural resources on Earth, which yields kind of the lowest price, right? Which gives any Bitcoin miner an unbelievable strategic advantage. And so it made a lot of sense for us, for me as a person who obviously adores our country. It made a lot of sense geographically and clearly, obviously based on the priorities of our nation kind of moving forward. It made a lot of sense to have in the United States of America.
And there's something as well to the American mindset in the knowledge base. I mean, we've met with incredible partners around the world, and they've talked about, for example, you brought up Vega. What are you building here? Vega is one of the most innovative Bitcoin mining facilities out there with a 200 kilowatt per rack density. That's more dense than US NVIDIA chips in terms of the GPUs for AI. And so they said, how are you building this for these costs and these timelines? And so I think a part of American Bitcoin and Hut 8 is how do we take some of that knowledge, that technology that we've built, and how do we share that with different places as well? So it's to really be a beacon where we can drive not just hard assets, but intellect and knowledge and intellectual property and share that across the world as well.
Well, gentlemen, we got about 2 minutes left, so one last question will be lightning round. Already coming out the gate strong after launching at the end of March. What should we expect from American Bitcoin for the rest of the year, especially as we approach that Q through tentative launch date for the public listing?
We're not stopping. I mean, every time I'm with Eric, all he wants me to make sure we know is if he's going to be a part of it, we've got to be the biggest, the best, and the fastest. And so we're sprinting. We're growing the business. We want to be one of the best Bitcoin companies out there. American Bitcoin will be one of the largest miners, one of the best Bitcoin accumulators, and then also a brand that people can trust and build around. And so we're going to keep sprinting just like we have. We announced the brand 6 weeks ago. We announced our go public on Monday, and we're going to keep moving forward at that rapid rate.
Well, I agree with all of that. Listen, I think there's two races in the Bitcoin game, and one of them is being won by Michael Saylor, who's a great friend of mine in Asher's and a guy I've known for 25 years. We've been longtime friends. That's the accumulation game. And then I think there's the game of who can mine it the cheapest. And I think both those people can win in very different ways. And I think we're going to accumulate a tremendous amount of Bitcoin, but I also want to be the person who's mining it by far the cheapest. When everybody else is going out to OTC and they're buying Bitcoin for 109,000 or 102,000 or 103,000, I want to be the guy who's mining it for 37,000 or 38,000 and doing it, on mass scales. And I think if we can win that race, we've accomplished the goal. And so we do have the goal to be the biggest. Asher and I talk about that all the time. So we better be the biggest. We better mine for the cheapest. And I think we're going to have a hell of a company, and incredibly proud of this venture.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a shout out, as you mentioned, to Saylor. We were saying we both individually were talking to him about how he's really pushing Bitcoin forward and what he's done at MicroStrategy and how he's been getting snowballs rolling. And I was like, ours happened to compound together and before a bigger one start rolling and growing. So I think the beauty about this industry is I don't see other companies as competitors. I see them as all of us leading a frontier into a new industry that we're bringing to the world. And that's the beauty about this ecosystem, the beauty about everyone here is we should all be working together to unlock what I believe is a better way for us to do things and not living in a historical world. And so I think there's an amazing opportunity for us all lead in our individual rights and to work together to bring the future here.
Fantastic. Go chase those megawatts, gentlemen. Thank you so much.